what it's like to be an ARDS survivor and a POTS patient. Hi, I'm Amanda Vandergulik from CleverDoughKids.com, where I help families and entrepreneurs figure out ways to be successful doing things they love to do, raising a healthy, wealthy mindset, and raising children who are smart with their money. But today I want to talk about something completely different. I am an ARDS survivor. ARDS stands for Acute Respiratory Distress Syndrome. In other words, I was in a coma 3.5 years ago, and during that time, and I went into a coma because of pneumonia, during that time my lungs developed ARDS. They were unable to work for themselves. They gave up on me. Luckily the doctors didn't, and I am still here with a 20% survival chance, so I did well. Anyway, I am also sufferer of POTS, which is, and this is a difficult one, so let me just read it for you. Postural, Orthostatic, Tachycardia syndrome. POTS syndrome. In other words, there are tons of symptoms that go along with it, and I don't have all of them, but I have a majority of them. Things like not being able to sit up straight, right, like what I'm doing right now. You don't actually probably notice, but I'm actually having to lean on a lot of things in order to sit up straight. If I wasn't leaning on something, I would faint. I'm not able to just stand up straight without holding on to things. I'm actually known in town as the pole lady because I walk around with hiking poles just so I can stay up straight. I need to lean on walls. When I'm working, as you can see, I need to have my feet elevated because my whole cardiovascular system isn't strong enough to pump the blood back up again, to fight against gravity without completely draining myself of energy. And as this video continues, you'll hear that my voice will slowly start to change. So as an ARDS survivor, what is that like? Well, first of all, it's great because it means you survived. So that's really awesome. It also means a lot of changes. Breathing is always difficult because my lungs are so scarred, I simply don't get full oxygen anymore. But I've been able to build up my muscles, my abdomen, my diaphragm, my lungs. I've been able to build them up so that I can get enough oxygen to survive, if not thrive. And that's okay. And I intend to continue to build because I'm a very stubborn person, really. So what are a couple of other things that I've had to deal with as an ARDS and POTS survivor? So one of the things that I have to do is I have to walk, which is great, except that walking is difficult. But I have to walk because it helps open up my lungs. And that's why I have walking poles. I simply cannot walk without poles for a long distance of time. I can do short distances, just fine little sprints kind of thing, not running sprints, but like little spurts. But if I do too much, I'll start to get weak. My balance goes completely off. I honestly look like I'm a drunk person because I'm like all over the place. And something so little as holding the walking poles helps just to keep my posture right so I can breathe properly, but it also takes the pressure off of my legs so that my body doesn't have to pull the blood up quite as much. I can now use part of my arms. So I've actually built very strong arms, which is great. But yeah, that's one of the things. If I don't walk, I fall backwards very quickly. And I don't mean like fall backwards, but I mean I go back. I become worse. And it goes really quickly. And I notice this dramatically in the summer when it's really humid because humidity sticks in my lungs. And with all the scarring that I have in my lungs, having the rest of it blocked with humidity means I don't get much oxygen at all. And that means I don't have the stamina to walk. Plus, I can't be outside because of the humidity. It's this horrible, you have to walk to stay healthy. You can't walk because you can't breathe. So summer is hard. Air conditioner is on all the time. I really get sick, and I have to say my kids really get sick of always having a cold house because it's really gets to you after a while to always be in the cold and always have to wear warm clothes. But it means I can breathe. And my children love me so much that they just put up with always being cold. They wrap themselves in a blanket. Winters, it's the other extreme. So when winter hits, because we live in Canada, it gets down to like -20, -30, -40, and it's really dry, cold, and my lungs go, and it's really hard for them to relax, to get the oxygen in. So summers, they can't breathe because they're stuck behind the humidity. Winters, they can't breathe because it's so tight, and you can't relax. So luckily, I don't suffer from hay fever. Thank goodness, because spring and fall are my favorite months now, because I can actually go outside and I can breathe, and I almost feel like my normal self, almost, until I, walk for 5 minutes and then realize I'm not my normal self. But when I walk out the door, I feel like my normal self, and it feels really great for those 5 minutes. Other things that have been affected, which are not necessarily a bad thing, I don't do as much housework anymore. Now, by not being a bad thing, I mean, I don't do as much housework anymore, but it does mean the house gets more dirty, which is not good. I have wonderful children and a wonderful wife who help, but simple things like vacuuming is ridiculously difficult for me. Sweeping, again, anything that needs my body to work below the waist or above the head is ridiculously difficult. I have to work in this area. So I can work in this area with caveats. When I'm working at my desk, I have to have my arms supported. You can see right now I'm holding myself up, but it's for a short period of time before I have to put them down and let myself recover. It's kind of like, if I use this energy, I can't use this energy at the same time, so I have to pick and choose, and then I can relax and use this energy again. So emptying the dishwasher, I can do the top rack to the stuff that's in this area, so I can, but unfortunately, the cutlery is in the bottom rack, but the drawer is here, so if somebody lifts the cutlery up for me, then I can put it away. Grocery shopping, tremendously difficult, and it's something you'd never even think of. The grocery shopping itself is walking, so that's actually not too bad, although tiring. When I say not too bad, I'm moving, therefore oxygen is circulating, and I can breathe. So this is a good thing. My body's exhausted and then it's harder, so it's a give or take. But the really exhausting part is actually at the cash register, lifting I want to say ingredients, but that's because I'm a cake decorator, or I was before this, lifting groceries onto the conveyor belt and taking them and packing them into the bag is tremendously difficult. So I don't shop by myself anymore. I have to go with my kids or my wife, and they have to do that part for me. They carry the groceries in, they put the groceries away. My family have to do an awful lot of work because I'm no longer able to do it. I can do short amounts. I can clean the house for like 5 minutes, and then I have to sit down and rest for like an hour. So it's not very efficient. It's not very effective. I can't cook anymore because baking and using the stove creates air that becomes humid and oily and gets stuck in my lungs. And so I get delegated to the living room. We close the curtain across the separation between the living room and the kitchen, and I sit back with my Himalayan pink salt inhaler and let the mucus let go and cough it up so I can breathe again. These are great, by the way. I'll put a link in the description below. So much better than my Ventolin was for me. I only use Ventolin once a year now for my pulmonary function test because I like natural better and I find it more effective. It's not as quick, but it's more long lasting and it's healthier, no side effects. Other than the fact that because you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose, it kills all the germs and bacteria and you're like never sick, which is a very good thing because that's another thing. I cannot get sick. If I get sick, I backtrack tremendously. It takes me a very long time to get up to whatever level I was before I got sick. And so I have to stay healthy. So I drink my green juices. I use my salt inhaler. I've learned to have to pace myself, which is crazy because I've always been a go-getter and I like to just get things done, but I can't anymore, so I have to pick and choose. There are so many more things that you'd never even think of. You know, simple things like I love to sing. Now I have to pick and choose and sing one song. I can't just sing for hours on end like I used to. I did tons of musical theater. I can't dance anymore. You know, I managed to do a couple of little things since, but cast members hold me. I lean on things. Like, you find ways. So now I help with front of house. I help welcome guests as I'm leaning on my poles against the wall, and I have someone beside me with the program so they can pass out the programs, because first of all, the smell of the programs will set off my lungs, and secondly, doing that will exhaust me. So that's what it's like to be an ARDS survivor. Is it worth it? Absolutely. And will I get better? I think so. I don't care what the medical industry say. I have a firm belief that you can be what you believe you are. And so I've decided to get better, and one day I will. In the meantime, take a look at my playlist on being in a coma, the dreams, the crazy dreams I had. And please take a look in the description down below, because this whole series is to support a woman who made a huge impact on me, Claire Wineland, who was a cystic fibrosis patient and passed away last summer, but left a wonderful legacy and a message for us to live a life we are proud of. Her documentary is coming out soon of her life, and I highly recommend, if you need inspiration in any shape, way, or form in your life, to watch it. She was such a blessing, and anything I can do to help support her foundation, I am blessed to do so. Thank you.